you will see this motorcycle cop. Woo! Sirens blaring, and they're not even chasing anybody. There's no car in front of them that got busted. Nothing. And then you see another one. And then another one. And then you realize, oh my goodness, it's a presidential motorcade. And all of a sudden, all of these motorcycle cops are all coming through, and the sirens are blaring, and then the black SUVs come with the guy riding shotgun, who's literally riding shotgun, and the whole group around, and they're all looking out and seeing who's who, and they're trying to buy it, and the decoy goes by, and then the real one, or maybe the decoy was the real one, and then there's an ambulance that follows all of it, and it has its lights going and everything, and the ambulance goes by, and then another set of motorcycle cops. Wow! What a sight! I mean, it's the president. It's cool to watch. Well, in today's gospel passage, we have the arrival of the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords into Jerusalem. Oh my goodness! He's riding into Jerusalem, and there's crowds all around him, cheering him on. What is his motorcade of choice? Does anybody know? A mini horse. A polo pony. Some translations say donkey. Donkey? Come on. That can't be right. What is going on? Why such an entourage? Why would he do that? It wasn't very spectacular. If you were trying to convince people that you are the Son of God, I don't know. I think you need to be a little more impressive. Right? No? When a big deal king comes to town in the first century, oh, it's a big spectacle, isn't it? It's huge. They come with this big motorcade. They come with armies and warriors and all sorts of things to show strength and power. Horses bigger than humans. Real tall stallions, right? Jesus rolls in on a polo pony. Is this a good thing? Everyone, and I mean everyone, expected Jesus to be the next King David. Oh, they thought that he was going to go to Jerusalem and he was going to do all sorts of things. Right? Even his own disciples believed this. None of them see the Jesus that we see historically in hindsight. Resurrected Lord. They hadn't seen that yet. They thought that he was going to sit on the throne of Jerusalem and rule the world. That's what they thought. He was supposed to be a political hero. This isn't much different from the Jews of today. If you ask them about what their beliefs are on the Messiah, I have before, and actually on YouTube you can look it up, of very famous Jews who talk on, talk shows and stuff like that. They've had Christians ask them, what do you think the Messiah is all about? They'll tell you. A political person who kind of rules from Jerusalem, who's God's Messiah. Kind of the same thing. What do they describe? A political hero like King David to rule over the entire earth from his throne in downtown good old Jerusalem. No wonder they reject our Jesus as the Messiah. Your Jesus rode in, mounted on a many horse, a polo pony, something like a donkey. Not a great show of force or power. My question to you this morning is this. Why didn't he arrive as a champion? Why didn't he arrive with mighty men like David, with an army? Why did he march into Jerusalem? The show of force and strength. It's not like the Jews didn't need that. They definitely needed that. They were being oppressed by their own government. The Herodian dynasty was terrible. And they needed the Roman Empire to kind of police Roman authority, a Gentile world was completely backward from their custom. Why wouldn't they have somebody march in there to undo all that? Why doesn't God save those people from the Roman Empire or the corrupt Herodian dynasty? Why not ride into Jerusalem as a military hero? On a stallion with a sizable army. You know that stuff works, right? It does. Recently, I went to the movies and I saw the Napoleon movie that they just brought out. That is not for kids like that. No. That is not for teenagers, actually. That should be NC-25. That's what I'm thinking. So if you're thinking, oh, it's historic, we'll go learn about history. It is very historic, and it's great and accurate, but it's not. Anyway, I went to see this movie, and it was a historical masterpiece. They did such a great job. And I'm really into this era of history, the Revolutionary War period. And it depicted a dictator or a ruler who kind of accidentally fell into power. And they really emphasized that. And that was really the true story. You had the king and the queen who had their heads taken off right at the beginning. Right? And then after that, there was Robespierre, right? And then Reign of Terror, and everybody got, scared of that era, so they got rid of him because he didn't have an army to protect him from the people. And so then they turned to Napoleon, one of the most accomplished generals of all time. A military genius. But the tragic story turns when what made Napoleon great was ultimately his downfall. He didn't know when to stop being great. There was, as there always is with people in power, a lack of humility. We don't acknowledge our limitations. The last verse in this morning's passage says, "Blessed is the coming kingdom of our father David." They're still thinking that Jesus is going to be the king of David. I'm always fascinated in today's world when Christians feel the need to bring church into the realm of politics. Some of us will make the statement like, we need to elect Christians into office. Like as if Christians are flawless and mistake-free when it comes to politics. I'll ask you this. What made King David a man after God's own heart? What made him an incredible leader? What made him someone that God specifically pointed out as great? Was it his incredible military record? Was that it? Was it his flawless political sophistication? And how to handle Saul and Jonathan and all that? Was that it? Was it his Goliath victory? Or was it his ability to admit his own shortcomings? And with that ability to show incredible grace towards others? Was it David's political greatness that made him great, or was his ability to connect with people, the common, everyday life of the kingdom, his understanding of God's will, his understanding of God's action in his life, and support in his life, and understanding his own sin, and admitting to God in song as a flawed human person of his complete dependence on God's grace. He gained the reputation of being a man seeking after God's own heart, pursuing God in his life. When Jesus marches into Jerusalem, it's not to take over a temporary kingdom. We'll be here today and gone tomorrow. about the Roman government today. It's gone. Well, I mean, we care a little bit about Italy. But it's not the Roman Empire. Not even close. That empire is dead and gone. It wasn't worth saving. But the church of Jesus Christ is alive and well. We, the church, during this Advent season, anticipate the coming ruler in our lives, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, ruling in our hearts and ruling in our lives this coming season. We long for God to guide us through His Word in the coming new year. Advent is a season of anticipation, and we should treat it as such. So I ask, what are your new plans? What are your new battles? What are the things that are getting in the way of your relationship with God that need to be conquered in 2020? What new territory are you going to cover? What do you anticipate God doing in your life? The new year, the new calendar year is coming. What will it look like for your relationship with God? Let us prepare this season for the coming of the Lord. Let us lay down our garments and palm branches for His arrival. Part of witnessing God and part of seeing God moments in our lives and expecting God to actually show up is anticipation. Looking forward to seeing God in our lives and acknowledging God's presence in worship. This is what David did all through the Psalms. This is what the church did who witnessed Jesus, the risen Lord. All of that is about worshiping Him and giving Him credit and acknowledging God in their lives. So let's do that this season. Let's practice the anticipation of the coming of the Lord in our lives.